So in the past week, Bungie has hit us with a gangbang of information, man. From the launch of the Season of Opulence, their last DLC as part of the Season Pass, to the brand new raid that we have. Then they had that launch just 2 days after the new content where they wanted to show us the next DLC, Shadowkeep. They wanted to talk about the future of the Destiny franchise as well as their split with Activision in so many words. It was a lot of info. Total gangbang of info, and to be honest, if the YouTube order was in a gangbang, he'd probably still fuck himself. But out of all this info, I could talk about the one thing that I do want to focus on in this video, the Menagerie. I gotta say, I gotta give him credit. Every now and then, Bungie pulls through and they come up with a unique and brand new piece of content that really blows people away, and the Menagerie works. God damn it. This is, by far and away, their best piece of content that they've ever launched. Simply because it works. Everything across the board in this particular activity works. From the way you get into it with that very small quest line that takes roughly 30 minutes or so at most to go through, to the fact that you only need to unlock it on one character for all of them to be able to go through it, to the Chalice of Opulence where you get to unlock the way you want to have your rewards, to the rewards themselves, to the actual gameplay of the content and the rotating modifiers. By far and away, they fucking nailed this, man. Now, I'll talk about the raid in the future. I'll talk about Shadowkeep on Thursday or Friday. I don't know. We'll see when I actually post the video. But essentially, this is by far and away their best piece of content. Hands down. This beats the Forge. This beats Reckoning. This beats Gambit Prime. And even to a certain extent, I would go so far as to say it beats some of their raids. Simply because this is essentially a match-made raid. Think about it. Almost everything in the mechanics that you see in the Menagerie are things that you would normally see in the raid. But the genius part about this is that in a raid, you naturally have the chance to fail. If you don't go through the encounter, you don't go through the mechanics, somebody fucks up, wipes the team, yeah, you have to start over from the beginning. People have been asking for matchmaking for years for raids. And I, for one, have always been on the fence about this, but after seeing the way some people play in match-made activities, I realized that, you know what, there's just no way raid matchmaking can work. But with the Menagerie, everything works because you absolutely cannot fail. Essentially, you're going to get to the boss, whether you do it in 10 minutes or whether you do it in 30 minutes. You're going to get to the boss. You're going to go through different areas of the Leviathan. You're going to go through different encounters, all having some sort of mechanic that work just like a raid. You don't need to have full communication. 2 or 3 people can carry this whole event, whether it's breaking crystals, whether it's running the gauntlet, whether it's killing a minotaur or ogre with a big-ass hive sword. There are all kinds of things that you would normally see in a raid, but they managed to stick it into this 6-player activity, and every part of it works. When you initially unlock the quest line, you get this chalice, right? And then in the chalice, you get to pick what upgrades and what rewards you're going to get at the end of beating the Menagerie. Do you want a class item? Do you want a hand cannon? Do you want an SMG? It doesn't matter what it is. You have the option to choose what you want your rewards to be. Down the road, we're going to get the option of what kind of masterwork you want on the weapon. So total, top to bottom, all customization, all in the right direction. The events themselves, mimicking the gauntlet from the Leviathan raid, mimicking the crystal portions from Argos. These are raid mechanics. These are things that we got to see in prior raids and that they've adopted into an environment where you can't fail. Because if you just happen not to beat everything, if you weren't able to go through every activity, all you have to do is accumulate enough points to get all the way to the boss. The boss then comes out. The boss that we had in the very first week was a giant minotaur that has these killer walls that come at you, basically some shit out of Resident Evil. Y'all remember that shit? You remember the original Resident Evil where they had that fucking giant wall of lasers come out of motherfucker, slice a motherfucker? Oh man, that shit was fantastic back in the day. But essentially, you got this giant fucking laser wall. If it hits you, you're dead. Otherwise, what you need to do is you need to constantly move, and you need to be able to kill the boss, burn him down, whatever the case may be. There is no timer. There is no limit. It's just a matter of what your team can do in that activity and whether or not you kick his ass in a short amount of time. Somebody like me who's raided before, who knows how to carry teams, who's Sherpa'd people through raids plenty of times, I can get through this activity fairly quickly, even with 5 total fucking idiots, because even if they fail, I know that I could do my part to get as many points as possible. I know that there are parts that I can absolutely solo on my own, simply because I know how to play the game. I know what I'm doing. I know how to get through these activities. And because of that, you don't need to have a raid that has matchmaking, because the Menagerie replaces that. The Menagerie is the absolute pinnacle activity for people that want to be able to do endgame content, but they don't have a team to do so. You can't get into the raid? Cool. Play the Menagerie. You can't get into Nightfall because you need 2 more people? Cool. Play the Menagerie. You can't get into the Shattered Throne or any other dungeon that they roll out in the future? Cool. You can play the Menagerie. You can learn the mechanics. You can learn the process. You can see how teamwork works, even if you don't have the ability to communicate with them. By far and away, Bungie, you knocked this one out of the park. There is no other way to say it. Finding a flaw in this activity is very difficult, simply because they almost thought of every single thing possible. They came up with concepts so that someone like me can be able to carry 5 dead asses. They came up with teamwork, where if you all work together, you're going to be able to get through the activity. They came up with triumphs that earn you more Imperials. They came up with ways of beating the bosses that are unique, that you haven't seen before. Absolutely, by far and away, this is my new favorite activity. This is the best content that they rolled out. Fuck throwing those giant balls at a big metal dildo in the middle of the map. Fucking forges, or Reckoning with the bridge from hell with fucking ogres pushing you off of that shit. Gambit Prime, none of that shit, man. Even going down to strikes, the blind well, escalation protocol, all of these activities that Bungie has rolled out that are meant to be community activities, they ain't got shit on the Menagerie. The Menagerie allows you to pick the exact reward you want. Now, obviously, there's going to be some rolls involved in the weapons or armor, so you can continuously roll these weapons and roll these pieces of armor until you get the one that you want, but it shows the level of thought that went into this. Now, again, this could be thought, or Bungie could have accidentally backed their ass into this. I don't know. Again, it's a giant gangbang at this point. But I will say this, I enjoy this shit. I know that starting today, later, after this video is posted, we're going to get a brand new boss for this week. Going to get to kick that boss's ass with whatever modifiers they come up with for the day. But overall, this is excellent. Now, other videos, like I mentioned, on Thursday, we're going to talk about the Shadow Keep, and then next week, probably get into a little bit of the raid. Initially, I was going to talk about the raid in this video, but like a dick, I forgot to record it. I was able to beat it this week all 3 times on the weekend after we ranked up a bit. I found a team that wanted to at least attempt it on the first day, and man, we got our asses handed to us. Just that power limitation that we had was really difficult on console. Obviously, PC players, they get to avoid that shit more than we do. We didn't have too many players that were fully ranked up. They didn't have high enough gear to be able to tank some of that shit. Now, even though it was power level capped, you still needed some power to be able to kill some of those enemies with good weapons and whatnot. But whatever, I got 3 done this week. I'll get 3 done every other week until the end of the season. But in any event, Menagerie, absolutely excellent to play. For those who are on the fence about whether or not they should play this DLC, play the Menagerie and then tell me that shit is not perfect, because absolutely, by far and away, this is some of the best content that they've ever rolled out. So, as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.